Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dennis Acuna, and this is my multimedia discussion board presentation for week 3, titled Compensation in the Public Sector. Okay, my presentation is going to focus on two of these characteristics that were discussed in our textbooks this week regarding compensation. Talks about how compensation aligns individuals and organizational objectives. And also, compensation can cause discontent as people compare themselves with others. I'll go through some real life experiences I've had while working for a local county government and how compensation is typically one item that's discussed very frequently. Okay, before I talk about my experience with compensation and issues that can come up, I want to quickly talk about Riverside County's compensation structure. Currently, we have a lockstep approach as described in the text with the grade and step system. Recently, with some new union contracts, they're eliminating the grade and step system and going to more of elastic pay system where we have a salary range and no set steps within that range. So that's fairly new. It's not 100% implemented, but it's coming shortly. On this slide, I'll go through a quick example, a compensation example for a junior engineering position with the County of Riverside, and the grade and step system it follows. So first, here is the job posting. You talk about it gives you the salary range, monthly, annually, and it gives a class code. You take that class code and you go to another form where it talks about grading class, and you find that the grade is 544 as shown on this example. And then with that, you can go down and look at the salary and step spreadsheet, and you can see it has 18 steps starting at $26.90 an hour, and then every step all the way up to the maxed out step of $42.44, which is step 18. So that's the current system. And when new hires get hired, they get placed depending on their previous experience on a certain step. And then every year they have merit increases, and typically it's 2 steps, which is just about 5.5%. But with the new system, that's all being eliminated. I'm not sure exactly how we will place new hires and the amount of raises or merit raises moving forward. Okay, now getting back to the compensation characteristics, the first one is ensuring that compensation aligns the individual and organizational objectives. What the County of Riverside and most government agencies is our objective is to provide the expected public services to the public with the resources that we have available to us. And in this example, or in my experience with the Riverside County Transportation Department, a lot of those services require hiring engineers, licensed engineers, to be able to design roads, bridges, etc. So when an engineer gets brought into the county, they have their own objectives. They want to become a public servant, serve the public, and they also want that professional growth. They want to move up the ladder. They want to get promoted. And so there's a lot of issues when it comes to how fast they want to be promoted. If they feel they're being stagnant, then they'll leave, or if the pay isn't up to what they feel is the reward for what they're providing to the public. So we see it a lot where engineers come and go, and we just have to make sure that we only have so much resources to be able to pay the engineers. So if these things don't align, there's going to be issues and we'll have a lot of turnover. The next characteristic that I wanted to consider was talking about how compensation often causes discontent as people compare themselves with other positions or other employees in the county. Quickly, a junior engineer position. It's an entry level, and you usually get promoted to an assistant engineer within 2 to 3 years and further to an associate and a senior. What happens is you get put in at a certain step. Once you start at that step, your merit ranges are only 1 or 2 steps, typically 2 every year. So then you're stuck in that pay scale and you're going to move up that. The only way to jump even higher would be to get promoted. Well, if another junior engineer comes in and has maybe 6 months more experience or a year, they may get put up 1 or 2 steps higher than yourself. So then now your whole career as a junior engineer, you're going to be behind that person, even though if you guys exactly do the same exact job. Another discontent would be when someone gets promoted to an assistant and even an associate. The jobs are very similar. It's just a little bit less supervision. But if you're a junior engineer for 2 to 3 years, you pretty much know a lot, as much as an assistant engineer, but they'll get more money because they'll be in a higher step. So with the step system, it's kind of it does cause some issues because you know whatever you get put in at when you first come into the county, it kind of sets your whole salary raise scale for your career. Because even when you get promoted, you only get a 5.5% increase into the next position because of the overlap that these positions have. So we see it a lot. We have people complain that someone that's a higher position does the same exact job as them. The job descriptions are very similar for these engineers. So hopefully with the new system, the elastic system with the pay range, salary range, and no more steps, it's a little bit more, it would allow for more people to move around in those ranges. Like I said earlier, I'm not too sure how that's going to work, but I'm actually interested to see how it works when we hire new people and promote people in the future. And with that said, this is the end of my presentation. I chose this last picture for this slide to show there must be a balance between the amount of resources, which is shown on the left in the form of money, and your workforce and your outputs there. So if you're just looking at your workforce, you have a bunch of engineers or a bunch of employees that are trying to get the largest piece they can of the available resources. And if someone takes too much or there's not enough resources, it would be out of balance and it's not going to work. So hopefully you enjoyed my presentation and I look forward to watching everybody else's this week. Thank you. Have a great night.